activity LED column, which is just going crazy, flashing all sorts of colors and stuff depending on what's going on. He even had it set up so that it specified which specific web traffic. So you could have like his, one of his things is security. Naturally, it's a DEF CON conference, so security is the prime focus. He set it up so that he could have specific columns for specific websites so that he knows when in a website's requesting data. So like say he had one column dedicated to Google, so that whenever he had a Google web page open, he know exactly when his browser is requesting data from Google, or Facebook also, and yada yada yada. Then he had just a miscellaneous column. And so yeah, that was one of those other really cool things. That's something that Devin and I, Devin's another, he's kind of like the boff at the Transistor. He's the one that volunteered me for the talk, so thank you very much, Devin. Be sure to all visit his talk later today. Please make fun of him for it. But anyway, one of the things we want to do is set up a network traffic monitor also for the transistor. Just have a big LEDs up on the wall. He has a sign, so if you could all bug him to get his sign finished, we'll use that instead. We'll do the exact same thing, except we'll probably have it set up so that whenever Aaron's downloading stuff, it kills his connection. One of the members down there,
let me squeeze in here.
Really big into flying and whatnot. He wants to make a flight computer using an Arduino. He got statistics and whatnot. He's also really big into his Mazda Miata, which is kind of funny because, well, we love him to death. But so he's really big in his Mazda Miata, so he also wants to create one for his Mazda Miata, so when he goes to track days, he can have a data logger set up on his laptop to just pull all the data and whatnot, clear across the track. He's also building, right now currently, he's working on it last night. I was going to bring it, but it's not it's not complete. There were some problems with it. But the Magic the Gathering life counter, he's really big into Magic the Gathering too. I admit I was, and still kind of am, but I haven't played it for like 10 years. John in the back, he's recently got back into it. It's kind of the Saturday night thing over there, the Transistor. But yeah, he thought it'd be really cool to have this Arduino with a few 7-segment LED displays and then a bar graph display for your life and your poison counter. And you just, if you gain a life, you just press one button and give you a life, or if you lost a life, you press it like say 4 times. You lost 4 life. The shift register that we're using for that was one that didn't work, so wasn't the right one for the application, so we had to use a different, well, we had to find a different one. The other thing down there, the transistor, is the door control, which is kind of lackluster sometimes.
Static, that's the problem with it.
It freezes, we'll just leave it at that. It stays closed, but it freezes. But yeah, we use an Arduino to control a magnetic lock on the door, and you have your keypad and your RFID tags. Aaron got the RFID reader working. He was also Hackaday for a little while back. It was just a cheap little $5, $10, $5, $10 RFID reader on eBay that you can get anywhere from China that uses a USB interface. He reverse engineered that so that you could just use serial, Use serial over to the Arduino. So he got that working, so we're very grateful for him. Door is in current better shape now that he's worked on it. The original person in charge of it, Tim, it was a lot worse. Devin can attest to it. Same with Gordo and John. It freezed every like 2 weeks or so, and it was a pain in the butt. We'd scream. So this is something pretty cool too. Spectrum Analyzer. I haven't seen much done with the Arduinos on that, but I haven't looked for it very often. I have seen other people do some pretty crazy stuff with them. If I have time later, I'll talk about that. But yeah, you can do spectrum analyzers, and then basically whatever the heck you can come up with. I mean, Aaron has we call it the puppy.
It's an inverted robot.
Yeah,
I attached a string to it so it wouldn't run away, and so I'd like walk this robot around. And so they're like,
right now he's taking a break from it, but he'd been working on it for about 3 months up until that point. And it's actually come a lot a long way from where it was at the beginning. We gave him a very hard time at the beginning because it just stand up straight for about a second and then just fly over right down on the ground. And then he tied the string on it and we're like, you're walking your puppy around the room! And then Devin had to go buy him some new motors because he was refusing to upgrade from the servo. But overall it's really cool. I don't know if you want to talk about it for a little bit. It utilizes the Arduino, so.
Oh yeah, like doing stuff like that is pretty easy. It's just basically like I had a serial motor driver, which is serial out, and then for connecting to the computer, I just used Bluetooth, little Bluetooth TTL thing. You can get them on eBay for like $10.
15 bucks,
Yeah.
another product in China.
And they work really well. And so what I was doing is sending data back, like in real time, and then graphing it so I could kind of see where all my variables were. And that helps. The good thing another good thing about the Arduino, huge community. There's a software serial library that makes a lot of things a lot easier to deal with because you only have one hardware serial. If you want to interface with hardware that uses it, instead of having to, you can bit bang with, I mean it's essentially what you're doing, but it's just the libraries are just super efficient, more efficient than just writing them from scratch. And you can have like, you can have like 5 software serials, and that extends the functionality. But yeah, using just serial in for reading accelerometer and gyro, processing that data, and then outputting it to the motor controller. Basically, the only problem that I had with it is the fact that, I don't know, I am not good at physics very well. And so PID, I was using a PID controller, if you're familiar with that, which is like proportional integral derivative thing. You put a bunch of data in, it tells you where you're supposed to be, you tell it where you are, and it tells you how to get there. And it's a lot of fun, but yeah, I've kind of given up on that until I've learned more calculus, I guess. So yeah. So.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool project. We just like to give them crap because it's not finished yet. That's what we do at the Transistor, is we like to troll each other.
So is there any questions?
Yeah, do you have any questions about his little...
And
his
do you have
puppy?
any questions about Arduino at all? So.
No, I'll go ahead and move on. Oh yeah.
I have a question. So, are you familiar with PIC microcontrollers?
I don't use PICs. Once again, I'm not very familiar with microcontrollers at all. I
Or
don't know if
propellers?
Like, I've messed with them a little bit. The reason I've kind of avoided them is assembly. You can now, I mean there are some compilers for them now, supposedly. I just haven't looked at them.
Yeah, they have like a C.
Yeah,
I
it's
agree with it.
kind of like the, I don't know, the fact that there's I mean there is a bit of PIC community. PICs are actually cheaper, they're more stable in a lot of cases, and they're used a lot more in like professional applications. You don't see AVR chips as much, but it's mostly just, like if you have an idea for the project, it's the ease and the community basically that is the only reason. I mean, PICs are great. There is a guy down that we have at the Transistor that does PICs. I mean, he's
the big pro at the Transistor.
yeah, he's really good. I mean, he can do stuff just as well in either of them.